Welcome back to another episode of Radical Talks with Kosi J. My name's Kosi, and if you resonate with my content, be sure to like, comment, or subscribe. Today's episode is a little intense and touchy, and I just want to let viewers know about that ahead of time before I really dive in. Also, if you do hear background noise of kids, it's just the neighborhood that I'm in. They're playing around. Sometimes it's good to hear the sounds of laughter from children because it just kind of takes away from the craziness that's happening in the world. So with that being said, I'm going to dive in. So the topic of today is concerning America's morality. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to think about this, to question it, to wonder where are we really going as a society. And things really came into perspective the past 2 weeks or so, but most definitely this week. I was reading in the news that there have been a lot of higher educational institutions, specifically Ivy League institutions, that have been doing all these protests regarding the situation in Gaza. And if you're not, everyone should be aware of what's going on in Gaza. There should be no excuse. If you're not aware, there's been militant occupancy going on in that country. There's been bombings. It's been all over the news. There's no need for me to really dive deep in it. But back to the protests. There's been a lot of protests going on in these Ivy League institutions, and to the point where National Guards have had to come in and be there. Why they're there, I don't know. Considering that these institutions are very much aware of what a protest should look like, how to avoid additional insult to battery compared to regular folk on the street that just want to do a basic protest on whatever it is that's going on. And the fact that this was a very calm protest, none of these students were asking for anything out of the ordinary. They were very set terms in what it is that they were requiring, and that was to remove the connection with those directly involved with the genocide. And that seems to be a tall order for some reason. Why is that such a hard ask? Why are professors being battered because of this? Why are students getting arrested with zip ties? Why? People don't think that, how do I put this? People don't think to question that this is happening not only on regular campuses, but Ivy League institutions, where the leaders that have gone to these same institutions, who then have also sent their children to these institutions, are now being the target. The children are now the target because not everybody's on the same board. But it's very revealing that despite the fact that these are the children of said elites and political leaders, they, as in the government, whoever is essentially holding on to what goes on and what doesn't go on, what is allowed, what's not allowed. They don't care. They don't care. If this isn't one of the, outside of the fact that the genocide is still being allowed and the government, American government, is not doing anything, this is one of the biggest reveals of what is to come. Think about it. This has never really happened to this intensity since the South African apartheid back in the 90s. Yeah, 90s. And even with the Russia and Ukraine situation, they didn't call the National Guards and all of, like, it has gotten so insane that I wonder if this is really the beginning of a collapse. Like, everyone always talks about there's going to be a collapse soon, the Western world, and everyone just talks about it, but this is becoming a reality. My question for those who do support the genocide, and no one is actively going to say, yes, I support genocide. They're not going to say that. But through their actions, them not speaking up or being at least in defense of the Palestinians who are actively being murdered every day. Occupational territory. The question I have for those of you who are actively against this is why? Why? Do you think it's humane to drive someone out of the land? Like, for those of you that don't know the full history of Palestinian versus Israeli war, I highly encourage you all to read about it. Don't listen based off what other people have been telling you, because you need to read. People don't read enough. You need to read. And I'm the type of person, I don't tell people things that they should go ahead and research for themselves, because I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm only going to tell you what you should think about. And this is what I want you all to think about, for those of you that are for this genocide. I remember while I was in high school some time ago, learning about the Nazi, learning about the World War II catastrophes, and the man that I shall not name, just the way it all began. Dictatorship. And I found so many similarities to the point where it's a bit disgusting, and I don't understand how people can't see, how some people can't see the similarities. I don't care. Let me just put it frank right here. This is not just about Gaza, Palestinian war, Israelis. This has nothing, it's not even just about that. It's not even just about the students protesting and the world protesting. This is about every single marginalized individual, right, in this world, and how the world is going to move forward after this specific situation. This is not just the protests are not just happening in America, they're happening worldwide. This is a real-time view of ethnic cleansing. What is the difference between this and World War II? What's the difference? I don't see a difference. I don't see, like, from a purely humane standpoint, I don't see a difference between what's going on. And the fact that the children of these elites at these Ivy League colleges were being rounded up just let me know the level in which the thirst for power and greed and lack of morale, the level that it really is now in society. I wouldn't even say too much about the people in society. It's more so with our so-called leaders. I am not the type to fearmonger. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anything. However, I want people to wake up. Wake up. Read about some of the things that are being planned for the upcoming election if 45, use context clues to know who I'm speaking about, but if 45 gets reinstated back into office, there are like, when I tell you there are deadly consequences, and I'm not the one that's going to tell you this. Everyone knows this. And just as I said, I'm not the type of person to tell people what is going on as far as the news. Like, I want people to research things on their own, like accurate research. I'm going to mention 3 things to look into, okay? So the 3 things, as I said, the 3 things that I want you all to research and pay attention to is Project 2025, Agenda 2030, and Project Olive Grove. After that, I also want you all to look into, I don't remember the actual mission or title of what this is called, but I just know if you Google plans on building train on the moon, you're gonna find what I'm talking about. Yes, this is real. The elites are trying to build train tracks on the moon to have trains. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Listen. I've been reading the book Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. For all those of you that don't know, she was a prolific African-American novelist, specifically in sci-fi. And some of the things that she wrote in that book are eerily similar to what's going on right now. And the craziest thing about it is that it took place in 2024. I believe she wrote the book in the 1980s. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, Parable of the Sower was set in 2024 and beyond. There's something that she said in that book connecting to the rioting of connecting to the protests that were happening on the campuses of the elites. And in that book, I don't want to spoil too much of the book, but basically in that book, there was a section where the children of those same elites were now targeting and going against the same institutions and environments that they were brought in. Like, they hated it. It's like the glass ceiling broke, the Matrix, everything broke. They finally understood, like everybody was brainwashed. When people say Matrix, when people talk about the Matrix, I don't believe it's just like imaginary movie style, it's all in your head type of thing. No, the Matrix is a mindset. Your mind. Everything that is designed in the Western world, specifically in the Western world, designed to play with your mind, okay? Little by little, they're chipping in things they want you to think about, the ways in which they want you to think, okay? Programming, okay? Programming, Matrix, get you in a loop. But unless you start actually paying attention to what is going around you and stop ingesting so much of the media that they want you to ingest, so the cycle will properly go as it's supposed to go, everything will be running smoothly. Right now it's not running smoothly though. America has a problem. America has a problem. If I'm being honest, I'm not sure if, this is a random take, I'm really big on apocalyptic type movies and shows, and also films that depict the human psyche and how they would react in really adverse situations. Shows like Westworld. I don't know why it's like the only one I'm thinking about right now, but that's the first one that comes to mind. Westworld. And, psychological thrillers types. Oh, Silo, another one. And Snowpiercer was another one that came to mind. These shows and movies, I always ask myself, why are these movies, shows being presented on an everyday, not everyday basis, but a more frequent basis? And then I ask myself, is this connected? Because nothing is coincidence. The way I believe things, nothing is coincidence. Nothing is coincidental. And then I remember that the media conglomerate that is in the United States is compromised of and they control all the central channels of every type of media that you consume, compared to how it was in the 60s. And then I wonder, why wouldn't they mess with you? How else is a society going to get in line, to fall in line? Free Congo. Free Haiti. Free Palestine. And all other nations who are under attack from a type of regime. My thoughts and prayers are with you all, but I already know that thoughts and prayers are not going to be enough. If you really want change to happen, you have to fight for it through two means: their pockets or through bloodshed. I hate to say this, but it's just the reality. This is how it has always been since the beginning of time. If you want it bad enough, you're going to find a way to get it. And if you have nothing else to lose, why not? So the only thing I can really tell the elites and their power hungriness is to be careful. Be careful. A democracy is only considered a democracy if the government is willing to listen to its people. If the government is not willing to listen to its people, there is sure going to be uprising. And with uprising, well, everybody knows what happens when there's uprising. There's a new movie that came out this year regarding that. Is this propaganda? Or is this a glimpse into our future? I understand that it's scary times and people usually tend to dissociate or kind of shy away from such topics, but I'm here to tell you that this is not really a time to focus on what's going on in your little world at all. If the world burns, your world will burn with it. So do what you can, support how you can, and keep in mind that the decisions you make or don't make can always affect another person and the future that we would hope to want, which is a bright one and a safe one. But if that doesn't happen, well, everything's gonna crumble. No ifs, ands, or buts. Everything will crumble. So yeah, support how you can. Take care of yourself. Don't compare what you're doing to what another person is able to do. Again, do what you can. If all you can do is read and inform yourself and then share it with other people that you know, that's still something. If you need a protest, that's something. If you need to help with donations, that's something. Help within the community, that's something. Just inform other people of what's going on in the wider world that we live in. Because the problem is, I don't even think that it's the fact that people don't care. Sometimes it's the fact that people just don't know. So it's part of why I'm kind of doing this channel, just to bring awareness and to remind humanity to be humane. So yeah, I'm gonna close this off with a quote. I don't know the specific way the quote goes, but I'm gonna paraphrase it. So it went something like, first they came for the Jews, and then I did nothing, and then they later came for me, but by then it was too late. So yeah, don't ignore what's going on in the world and think that it has no effect on you, because all this stuff affects you one way or the other. See you next time.